C40 Cities Climate Leadership Group has produced a suite of resources that cities can use to help them address vertical integration as an enabler of accelerated climate action. One of these is the Vertically Integrated Action Tool, and the focus of today's video is to show you how one of the sections of the tool works. The section we'll be looking at today is the cross-cutting analysis. It's a strategic analysis. Essentially, its focus is to map the extent of alignment between city and state or national government on climate change mitigation and adaptation. There are other modules that look at the other levels within the tool, the other kinds of analyses, the sector analysis and the actions analysis. So our focus today is the cross-cutting analysis, and what you can see on the screen is the home page of the tool. And you can see it's an Excel-based tool. There are tabs across the bottom which you can use to navigate around the tool. You can also use these buttons which occur on every single page within the tool to navigate. So we're going to go now to the cross-cutting analysis component of the tool. We'll see a work page has emerged which has got several components to it. You'll see the navigation buttons at the top of the page, and you'll see a set of instructions on how to complete the tables in this page. There are two tables on the page. This first table deals with climate change mitigation, and the second table, if we just scroll down, deals with climate change adaptation. In each of the two tables, there's a series of questions which the user needs to go through and select answers for each question from drop-down lists which are provided. We'll go through the process of how to select the answers and what happens when you do select answers. But just to note, on this page I have pre-populated some answers just so that you can see how it works and what the results of an analysis look like. These answers are by no means the correct answers or anything like that. They're just examples of the kinds of answers that people might select when using this tool. We also have a column here for capturing user comments. So if, for example, when you are considering an answer to a question, you may want to capture your thoughts around why you selected a particular answer, you can capture them in this column. There's also a little explainer box next to each one of the tables, just reminding you of what the purpose is and what's trying to be achieved with each one of these tables. So when doing this analysis, the first step is really just to set the context of the analysis. And that context is a decision around whether this analysis is looking at vertical alignment between city government and a national government department or national government in general, or city and state or provincial government. So the first thing you need to do when using this is to make that decision. And once you've selected your answer, you need to bear in mind that context, and you need to keep the context in your head as you go through and answer these questions. It won't work very well if you select national government here, but you're answering the questions around city alignment with the state or provincial government for some of these questions. So that's the first thing you need to do, is select the context of the analysis, and once you've done that, you need to go through a process now of looking at the questions. The questions in each one of these tables is arranged around a series of themes. So the first theme in the table is joint target and goal setting around climate change mitigation. The second theme is political alignment for mitigation, then policy alignment, institutional alignment, financing climate action, capacity and skills alignment, and information and knowledge alignment. As you go through the table, you'll need to read the question quite carefully so that you understand what the question is asking, and then click on the select an answer box. You'll see a small drop-down right arrow here. You click on that and you'll see a drop-down list of potential answers that you can select from. Depending on what you select, a score will pop up in the score box next door. Generally speaking, the higher the score, the more vertically aligned city and national government are around this particular issue that the question is focused on. The lower the score, the lower the level of alignment, or the more kind of disjointed things are between city and national government. So here we're going to select number 2, or score that an answer that gives us a score of 2, and we're going to go through a similar process for some of the other questions. We're going to select our answers to the questions, and it's going to automatically populate a score. We perhaps want to decide that for this particular question here, we want to record a comment that we thought is an important point to note in how we decided our answer. We might say that people did not attend any meetings, for example, and that comment is then captured. Essentially, one goes through these tables and you need to answer all of the questions. Ideally, these questions should be answered in a participative way. The best situation is for city government to be sitting with national government and actually having a conversation around these questions and together choosing the answer. If one is able to complete this analysis in that way, it's a really good opportunity to build a kind of outcome that all parties will buy into. And the process of thinking about the questions and deciding on answers is also really good for building a joint understanding of what the vertical integration issues actually are at a strategic or cross-cutting level between city and national government in this instance. So once you've completed the mitigation table, you can either go straight on and complete the adaptation table in the same way. If you're not wanting to analyze both adaptation and mitigation, you don't have to. Essentially, these are quite independent analyses. But in this example, we have completed both tables. And now we want to see what kind of result our answer has given us. So we go up to the navigation buttons at the top, and we're working on the cross-cutting analysis level here. So we click on the corresponding results button to be taken to see what the results of our analysis are telling us. So there's two sets of charts that get automatically populated with the results of your analysis that you've made. The first set of charts is a set of radar charts, and the second set of charts is a bar chart. So we'll go back and look at the radar charts now so that you can see what they tell us. There are two radar charts. One deals with climate change mitigation, and the other one deals with climate change adaptation. These are the same themes, the vertical integration themes that you saw in the analysis tables in each one of the charts. And essentially what these radar graphs are showing us is that some of the themes one sees better alignment between city and national government than other themes. So taking the climate change mitigation chart, for example, city and national government are pretty well aligned around climate mitigation policy and institutional roles and functions around climate change mitigation. So the further out on the chart the line comes, the better aligned city and national government are. The closer to the center of the chart that these points fall, the less aligned city and national government are. So in this example, we see that there's fairly poor alignment around information and knowledge sharing, capacity and skills between city and national government, and financing climate action is partly aligned, joint target and goal setting is partly aligned, and political alignment is partial. Comparing that to climate change adaptation, we see that joint target and goal setting is much better aligned around climate change adaptation between city and national government. Political alignment is good, but we've got partial alignment around climate adaptation policy, institutional roles and functions and financing, and poor alignment for capacity and skills and information and knowledge sharing. So it's quite useful just kind of at one level to look at how aligned city and national government is around climate change mitigation, and then separately around adaptation. But it can also be useful to compare these two charts to try and get some pointers around why, for example, in this instance, we have city and national government really well aligned around joint target and goal setting for adaptation, but only partly aligned around the same theme but for mitigation. So that gives us a sense that something is working well here, but it's not working so well for mitigation. And what is that? So that gives us an idea that there might be something that we might be able to take as a pointer from how climate change adaptation is working, and use it to enhance alignment around mitigation. Looking at the bar chart, essentially it's exactly the same information, just presented in a slightly different way. And what's quite useful about this is that you can immediately see, looking at this chart, that these are the three weakest themes around vertical integration, both considering both climate change mitigation and adaptation together. We can see that there's some quite big differences in alignment between mitigation and adaptation in the joint target and goal setting theme, and that there are some differences in these three themes here. Scrolling down the page, there's a table at the bottom where all of the comments that you captured when completing the tables are recorded, so they're basically drawn straight through. If for any reason you can't see all of a comment that you have entered into the table, you can increase the size of the row as you would normally for an Excel spreadsheet. The row formatting function is unlocked in these sheets, so you can do that. And the idea would be that you can use this as a reference for any write-ups that you do following the completion of this analysis. And that's it on the cross-cutting analysis. Please join us for the next training module on the sector analysis and the third training module on the actions analysis.